Okay, so I finally got the videos open. So this first one, when he comes kind of flying across, he's pacing, then he's cross cantering. He looks like he's got some good personality, like a pretty funny gelding. Beautiful horse, very pretty. And here the clip is very short, but I can see he is going to separate his legs if we ride him right. So there he's got a good walk. And right there he had a good walk. He wasn't actually pacing there. All right, and so here he toes out the front. That's why he has that funny movement, but that helps them so they don't step on their front legs when they have that big stride. And here he's walking pretty good, and then as soon as he speeds up, he goes to pacing. But at least he's not pacing at the slow walk, so that's a good thing. And here he does have a little ringing in his hocks as he walks across, but it's not horrible. Speed him up a little bit. So there he's got a very nice walk with a head shake. There he actually picked up the proper lead. So he had the canter lead in the front and the back. So I think he's going to have a really nice flat walk and running walk. He just has to get used to moving without doing that pace anymore. Although he is really cute when he waddles across the arena. So there as he's going back and forth, he is gaiting pretty good. A couple of those steps here and there. I think he's a really nice horse. He just needs some, training so he knows how to move correctly under saddle. So there he's just pacing, and then as he comes over, if you watch his hind legs, sorry for the dot in the middle, you see his hind legs kind of come in and his front legs come out. They usually breed them like that so they don't step on themselves, when they're doing the big overstride. Get that light spot out of the way. But his hocks aren't bad compared to some that I've seen that really ring. But he does have a big stride. He steps, I don't know, maybe 6 inches to a foot over his front legs at different times. When they get those front legs out of the way, that's how they can reach up even further. And that's why they like some of them to kind of toe out, or they put trailers on the hind legs to try to keep them from stepping on themselves and changing their footfall. Where'd he go? There he is. I don't think it's going to be that hard to retrain him to do his gaits naturally. Okay, so this is how I would start his training. I would first make sure he knows how to lunge. And then once he lunges well, I'd make the circle of poles you see me start with, just the 4 poles. So 1 at 12, 3, 6, and 9. And I would start lunging him over the poles just at a walk. And I do it 5 minutes each direction to start. And I would just do that for a week so he can learn where to place his feet, get used to getting over the poles so he doesn't trip. Once he can do well, then I would start to ask him for more speed. So I would come in, walk him 5 minutes each direction, just slowly over the poles. And then I would ask him for a faster gait, which should be his flat walk. So we just want a fast walk. And then let him go over the poles each direction for 3 minutes. And do that for a week or two. Each time doing the slow walk first. And then after he can do that well and he's not tripping much, then go up to 5 minutes of the flat walk. Once he can do that well, I would put him in a surcingle and side reins, and so you can put some contact on his mouth to bring his head down a little bit. And so you're just going to make it loose in the beginning so he gets used to being in the rig, and just lunge him without the poles the first time so he understands how the equipment works. And then over time, you're going to shorten up the side reins, so you apply some pressure, and I'll send you the video on it. And then I would ask him for a slow walk for 5 minutes, and then his flat walk for 5 minutes in each direction. Now, once he can do that, which will probably take a couple of weeks so he can do it well, then you can start asking for his running walk after that, as long as he's not pacing. If he's pacing, stay slower, but the pole should help him get out of the pace. If he's still pacing, then would add more poles, and I would just put one pole more in between all the other poles. So you'll end up with about 8 poles. And then just let him keep learning to walk over those and figure out where his feet are. When they've had stacks on before and their feet have been so long, it does take a while for them to adjust. And it also can take them some time for them to figure out their proprioception, figure out where their feet are. And you want to make sure he knows that well before you really start riding them. So you want to give them time to adjust, and they'll get pretty athletic and quick with their feet with those poles. The other thing you can do if you want is to teach him to trot when he's loose, and you set up those cavaletti poles with about 3 to 4 of your feet spacing in between those poles. And you start with just about 3 poles in a line, then keep adding more poles until you get to 6 to 8 poles, and that's usually when they'll start trotting over them. So that would be a separate exercise that you could do on some different days, and that'll really teach him how to handle his feet. And then once he can do all of that really well, then I would start riding him, and I would do the same thing. I would come in, warm him up slowly, do all the basics of the arena work, teach him to bend, the lateral work such as the serpentine, circles, leg yield, all the things of that nature. And then after that, I would start asking him for his flat walk and do it 5 minutes in each direction. If he's pacey, as soon as you start flat walking, then I would ride him in a circle over those poles to help him. And I would keep him over those poles until you feel that his gait's getting smoother and he's not pacing so much anymore. Anytime he really hard paces when you're riding him, stop him, back him up, and then immediately go forward, and then give him breaks when you think he's doing a really good job so he understands that's the right thing that he's supposed to do. And in time, I think this horse is going to be awesome. So I'm glad you got him and saved him, and he looks like he's going to be a good one.